With the rise of, for example, large language models, it is not uncommon to hear of talk of quote unquote artificial intelligence. It may be conceded, some would say, that no, AI is not actually intelligent, that it is in fact based on algorithms and math and such, filling in words or what have we. But one day, perhaps very soon, AI certainly will be intelligent. Again, some would say. And many certainly, without having given it much thought, already consider AI, chatbots, large language models to be intelligent. Right? Let me chat with this thing for a few minutes. It answers intelligently. Hi, how are you? Gives me information and much more, obviously. So what can I say? Of course, it must be intelligent. And yet it would be worth our while to consider whether or not that is really so. And the claim could be then put forth and defended that, in fact, AI, so-called artificial intelligence, is not now, nor will it ever be actually intelligent and on principle. There are some claims that are predicated on observation. For example, if I say tomorrow at noon there will be a fellow in a yellow coat on the corner of 8th and 9th, there's only one way really to find out whether or not that's true, and that's to wait till tomorrow, what did we say, at noon, and then see as to whether or not that fellow is in fact standing there. If I have seen everything that there is to see, such as could possibly be meant by the location given, what was 8th and 9th, whatever it was, and there is no man in the yellow coat, it can be said with certainty, rolling out certain special situations, the latest technology of invisibility, or he's hiding somewhere, rolling all of that out, accounting for all of that, then that claim is false. I've seen something that contradicts it. Other claims, however, cannot possibly be falsified by experience. So, for example, the claim that two equal weights balance each other out on a scale is unfalsifiable vis-a-vis the empirical. There's nothing that I could ever see or touch or otherwise that would falsify that claim. If I find something that is purportedly a scale and it does not balance out weights which I know to be equal, then it is not a scale per the proper definition. It could be a broken scale, it could be a trick, there could be an invisible string, something like that, a magic trick, but it cannot be that a real scale defined as that which balances two things, of equal weight, that which balances them. If I find something that does not balance them, that is not a scale. Again, that claim cannot be falsified. So here too, we can try to put forth a notion of intelligence such that cannot possibly be falsified no matter what we experience, no matter how complicated the AI chatbot gets, even if there's one day humanoid robots and they talk exactly like us, all the same. Let's try to do that. So we can start off with seemingly a common sense claim as to what or who is intelligent. People obviously show intelligence, are intelligent. Right? That's where we get the definition of intelligence from. We would say, I'm intelligent, not necessarily in the IQ sense, but in the sense of just being able to understand and reason and so forth. That person over there is intelligent if he or she can talk to me. And again, I can say, how are you doing? And they'll say, hi, what color is the sky? And they might say blue, this, that, and the other. And yet, if we carefully consider what that means, we see that it's not so simple. Because when I say I am intelligent, whoever it is that I am, do I mean, for instance, my lips, if I have any, because not everybody has them? No, the lips is just a body part. Do I mean my tongue? No, I don't. Do I mean my throat or any of its components, esophagus, larynx, or whatnot? No, I don't. Do I mean other features of my face? No, I don't. Do I even mean what is in here, hopefully, inside the cranium, considered as an instance of visual extension or tangible impenetrability, meaning stuff? No, I don't. Whatever be the relation between intelligence and that which is in there. No, I don't. So what then do I mean? The only thing that I really can correctly mean would be that which I can self-supervise. So for example, if I'm asked, what color is the sky on a nice sunny day? And I understand what is meant, and then I visualize. And I think, yeah, I've seen that. Maybe today it's rainy, so the other day, or maybe right now, it's that. And then I think, what word in my language, let's say it's English for the sake of argument, what word in my language indicates by convention this experience that I've had? Oh, it's blue. With clouds, maybe a shade of blue, light blue, but something like blue. And then I say blue. It would say that whole inner, so to say, operation of me imagining something and me recalling this, that would be an example of intelligence. If I'm asked, what does it feel like if you really want something and you don't get it? I think back to a time when I really wanted something. Let's say that I really wanted lunch and I didn't get lunch because the restaurant was closed. How did I feel? Maybe I just felt hungry. Maybe I also felt angry. But I remember the experience that I had. And then I pick, hopefully, the words that are appropriate based on my language, based on convention, based on how language is used. And then I attempt to express myself using those words. Not the words, not the sounds, not the vibrations of the air, right? If I put my hand to my mouth, not my lips, none of that is intelligent. None of that is intelligence. The only thing that is intelligence is that which is intelligence, that which I can self-supervise by the way of my own self. I can close my eyes, right, and plug my ears, and then I can try to think through something. What is 2 + 2 = 4? That inner, so to say, operation would be intelligence. Now, if we take that as the definition of intelligence, or as the direct activity of intelligence, then if we want to understand how that which we experience relates to intelligence, we would analyze it. So for instance, if I take a video of myself speaking, then we would say that's a video of a face animated by the activity of intelligence. The video itself is not intelligent, obviously, as is not the face intelligent. If we take a book, Shakespeare, is the book intelligent? Is the text in the book intelligent? The pages, the pulp of the paper? No, none of that. Right? It indicates the past activity of intelligence of somebody that we associate with the name of Shakespeare. If I consider some object such as a chair, right, that indicates the activity of a craftsman or a craftswoman or a machine that made that, or even maybe of a machine that made the chair, but eventually some activity of intelligence is therein implicated. And now it's instantiated in something that stands, meaning the chair, right? It could have been 100 years ago that activity of intelligence is inferred because the chair is 100 years old. But all the same, and so forth and so on, we basically analyze the contents of experience and consider how it relates to the activity of intelligence. Now, insofar as that is so, we see, of course, that there is no amount of complexity that could be carried out by any of the objects in our experience, such as would make it correct to say that those objects are themselves intelligent or themselves intelligence. Right? So no matter, for example, what is written in a book, whether it's simple words or whether it is in fact Shakespeare, we would never say that the book is intelligent. No matter what comes out of the mouth of a person, we would never say the mouth, the tongue, the throat are intelligent or intelligence. No matter how complicated an item is, a marvel of engineering, such that obviously indicates immense activity of intelligence of a whole bunch of engineers, we would never say that that object itself is intelligent. You get the idea? No matter how complicated a machine is, at a factory, it wraps things and so forth. We would never say, the machine is intelligent. The machine is intelligence. Only intelligence is intelligence. And just so then with so-called AI, we can certainly manipulate the contents of our experience, metals, magneticism, and so forth, to build certain machines that will generate certain outputs in relation to certain inputs. However, there is nothing there that would or could ever conceivably indicate, not even indicate, it does indicate that ever would or could be itself intelligent or intelligent. Not the parts of the computer, not the metals that constitute hard drives and such, not the appearance on the screen, not the algorithms, none of that whatsoever. And that cannot change no matter the complexity of the output. And so it's clear enough, for example, concerning a calculator. We can set up whatever a calculator is made of, plastic, metals, coils, whatever it might be. We can set that up in order to generate what to us appears to be a correct output. Concerning the calculator, it's neither correct nor incorrect that 2 plus 2 is 4. For us, when I see 2 and then plus 2 and then it says 4, for me that's correct. So we can set up our materials to generate that output. We would never say that any of those materials or any of that wiring or algorithm, however it works, is in itself intelligent or intelligent. Now, no matter how much that complexity is ratcheted up, now the calculator is a super calculator and it can give me incredibly complicated outputs. We still wouldn't change our judgment, would we? We wouldn't now say, before it wasn't intelligent when it just showed 2 plus 2 is 4, but now that it shows 897 to the power of 658, it is intelligent. No, it's on principle. It cannot be falsified by anything that we observe. So again, as those arguments are sound, to reiterate, the same is and always will be the same concerning anything that we could possibly call artificial intelligence. We can manipulate the material of our experience, again, that which constitutes hard drives and so forth, all day long. We can set things up in order to generate the most complicated outputs imaginable, such as are absolutely indistinguishable from human outputs, as arguably many of them already are, again, in those large language models. And yet that would never ever change the principle here at hand, which is that only intelligence is intelligence. It is something that can only be self-supervised as an aspect of what could perhaps be called self-consciousness. None of the objects of our experience are in themselves intelligent or intelligence, nor can they ever be, no matter how complicated they get, no matter how complicated the output emerging from them ever gets. And that, again, far as this reasoning is sound, is final. Thank you for listening.